Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time something a little bit different. We'll be cleaning up some of the larger items from the recent Penguin barn finds. So these are like some of the miscellaneous titles, Penguin modern painters, Puffin picture books, that sort of thing. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so we're starting off with this one, which is Richard Adams. Now, it's a name you might be familiar with, of course, author of Watership Down. And this is, it's a science and biology book, but I believe this was published on the back of the success of Watership Down. It looks quite interesting in actual fact. So it's a beautifully designed and illustrated book. It's an unusual format, this sort of vertical format, as it were. I don't know what the official term is. 1980 was when this was published. It's really unusual, that one. So it's got a little £1.25 in. Let's see what it's like. I've got a couple of slightly more modern books which are in there with this little lot, which I think it's got a little bit of, I don't know what that is on the front there, but what I think, I've got a couple in this sort of format. In fact, I've got a handful, in fact. So what we'll do, we'll brush them as we go along, and then we'll put this particular sort of run to one side because they can be polished. So we can actually put a little bit of furniture polish on that one, and hopefully that will get that mark off. But we'll brush them as we sort of go along, really. This next one I know is going to need a really good polish because it's got a little bit of wear on the side, but it's a book on Beryl Cook. Beryl Cook did quite a bit for Penguin over the years, and they were her publisher. This is a lovely book, which I didn't actually have a copy of, and I'm very much a fan of her work. She's from Plymouth. I met her a few times, in actual fact. She used to shop at my dad's fruit and veg shop in the Plymouth market, and she lived up on Plymouth Hoe, or just off it. And she was really nice. She used to drink at the Dolphin pub. And yeah, this is the first print from 1978, so I'm very pleased to have that. There she is. Yeah, she's great. I have got a signed Penguin print by by Beryl Cook, which she did for Penguin's 50th anniversary, and she also painted a penguin relaxing in a deck chair for their anniversary catalogue. But that's absolutely fine. I reckon that's been bought almost from new. It just needs a little bit of a polish when we get to it. So it's going to be a bit of a mixture of series that we're going to see today. This is one of the series, and it's Penguin Modern Painters. Now, I have a few of these. I think there's 20 in the set. I certainly don't have them all. I think I've got about half. So I'm pleased to see that there was a few in this collection. However, whether they're ones that I need or not, I really don't know. But I'm just going to go through because although I've been really focusing on the Penguin main series books for obvious reasons, I would like a little side bit on my table at the Penguin Collectors Show with some of these other bits and pieces. So there's nothing we can really do with that one. So I'm going to pop that over there. Here's another Modern Painters. It looks very sort of grubby, doesn't it? Look at the marks on the front there. But it's not dust. It's just marked. And I think that's really just one of the hallmarks of this series, is that they do mark up very, very easily. So there you go. I know some of them, and I don't know if we've got any in this particular lot, but some of these have got dust wrappers. So they are possibly reprints with dust wrappers, but it's got a pound inside. But it's not a series you come across a lot nowadays, I wouldn't say. But they are a nice set. My favourite one isn't here, but it is one I've already got, and it's on Edward Baldham. They did a Penguin Modern Painters on Edward Baldham. See, this just looks like, I don't know, dirt or fingerprints. I'm really not sure. It's just going to have to stay like that. We can't really do much with those covers, I'm afraid to say. Now, this next one is a Q title, Miscellaneous, Penguin Atlas of Medieval History. And this is another one which, because it's got a nice laminated cover, we will be able to polish up once we get to the end and we've got a little polishing session. But that one's actually absolutely fine. It may even be better than my own. What I'm going to have to do with these is clean them all up, and then I'll compare them against my own copies. That looks absolutely fine. I can't see a printing history. Now there we are on the back. Yeah, it doesn't say a particular printing or anything like that, but that is fine. But it is slightly, the covers are a bit grubby. And amazingly, we've actually got another copy. Now this one is far worse, as you can see. It's much grubbier, but once again, it may come up absolutely fine with a bit of polish, you know. As I said, I think I've already got this one anyway, and in fact I'm sure I've got it. I'm not missing many from the miscellaneous series, which is what this one's part of. It's a Q book, but once again, really all that needs is a darn good polish. Now, apart from that, it is a little bit warm, but it's going to be okay. Now, there will be a percentage of books like this one probably, which aren't going to be worth saving. So this one here, The Englishman Builds, is completely missing its spine. And this is not a book that's expensive anyway. Even a really mint one is only a few pounds. So this one really, he's too far gone and isn't worth keeping. So sadly, we're going to have to say goodbye with this one and get shot of it. Right, next, a slight different designed Penguin Modern Painter, and these are one of the ones. It's got, like, I think this must be a later series, or not a later series, but later issue in the series. In fact, the very last one is like a vertical format, but this has got this slightly different design, and or this may have been one that came in a wrapper, and the wrapper isn't present. So it does say published 1947. It doesn't mention a reprint. But I'm pretty sure that some of these did get reprinted with wrappers, and once again, there's nothing we can really do with that. That's as good as it's going to get. Oh, and there we are. Well, we're illustrating what we just talked about. William Nicholson. This one is in a wrapper. It's number 12, and it is in a wrapper. It's got that internals, so fair enough. I don't think I've got many in wrappers at all. Maybe just a handful, like one or two in my collection. So this is nice. And I don't recognize this one, so I'm pretty sure it's a new one for me. Certainly in the Puffin Picture Books, which we haven't come across any yet, but there's certainly in there some Puffin Picture Books I haven't got in my collection. It's not been a series that I've really focused on and tried to get them all, the Puffin Picture Books, but inevitably by collecting Penguin books, they come my way. Yeah, it's a little bit sticky. There's a tiny, it got a little bit of moisture in the top corner, which caused them to stick together. But apart from that, I mean, that's actually a really nice example. I'm really happy with that one. It's got a little 3 and 6 on the front cover, so we'll try and get that off. But that's beautiful. I think it's a really, really nice series. The Penguin Modern Painters are quite underrated. So I was pleased to get some, even if some of these are doubles. I may well keep a few of my sort of more favourite ones. And that looks like a pencil line on the front. No, it looks like it was, because it's coming off. But as we often see, it's left, because the cover was so grubby, it's left a little mark where we've done it. So the only way to get around that is to very carefully sort of blend it in. So that's what we'll do now. So it does mean having to do almost the whole cover, which is a bit annoying, but there you go. I wonder if the reason these books got grubby is because maybe they were studied by artists. Who knows? Or I mean, I can't imagine they would be used as like reference tools in artist studios, but you never know if someone was copying a particular style of an artist or what have you. But I suppose up until this point, art books had always been quite pricey things to buy. So by Penguin publishing these, admittedly they only managed to do 20. I guess it was keeping in line with Alan Lane's idea of Penguin becoming like the popular educator, and bringing stuff like this to a more wider audience, you know? Yeah, very nice. Really good format, isn't it? Just enough information about the artist in question, and then the rest of the book is focusing on their work. Now, this one is the first one we've seen. Well, it's actually a reprint. Look, November 1944. So that's the first one we've come across, which is a reprint. Another one. I didn't realise these are all at the top, but look at it. Look how grubby it is. It really is very, very grubby. Edward Burr. So yeah, this one's a pretty rough one. Nice though. Very nice artwork, nice and bright. Yeah, so nothing to really do on that. I mean, it's just that the covers are absolutely, really, really grubby, about as grubby as you could imagine. And that's a shame, because these are the sorts of books that you want, if you're going to have them, you want pretty nice copies, really, don't you? So that, I think it's one that I've already got, but if I haven't, it's going to be there very much on borrowed time. This looks like the last one for the time being. Penguin Modern Painters, Victor Passmore. So again, this one's got a little bit in the corner, like it's had a spot of damp somehow. See that? I think it maybe just be down to the style of paper. Don't forget these were found in a barn, so, and the barn at one point got flooded. Now all the books were on a mezzanine level, but the water would have been in the atmosphere and circulated, and potentially that would have caused some of the boxes that these books are in to have got a bit damp and damaged. So that is, you know, basically the evidence of what we're seeing here right now. Okay, so the next one we got is one of the Things We See series. This is number 2. This one's on houses. And these come in different formats. This one's in a dust wrapper, which has got pictures on. There is also a version with dust wrappers with eyes. And I think some of these come in hardback and or paperback. So there's quite a few like little variations on these. So the only way I'm going to know what's what is by having them compared against my own little collection. But this is another little run. So we've got miscellaneous books. We've got the Penguin Modern Painters, and now we've got the Things We See. And we still yet haven't done a single Puffin picture book. I'm just going to do this rub at the same time there, because these are, once again, they're slightly odd shapes. Now this one here, I actually thought I'd left it behind, but I haven't. So it's Learning Mathematics Book 2, which I'm pleased to see. I'm not a massive fan. In fact, I don't, in fact, collect Penguin Education. But this is, you know, well, it's a scarce little example. Now, I've got a friend who very much does collect these. He's a real expert in it, and I've got his wants list. So if this is one that he wants, I'm gonna save it for him. He can have this one. But if it's one that he's already got, I think I'm going to keep it as like an odd example. So we'll pop that one up there as well. I'll just do the edges on this. The Modern Painters and Puffin Picture Books will brush down separately. Right, next then we've got this, which is another in the miscellaneous series, an atlas of the USSR. Is that a bit of pencil on there? That's just like a rub. Yeah, so these books, which were like, you know, oddities as it were, these have ended up Penguin put a little Q number next to them, and they were like miscellaneous titles. This one's got £1.50 inside. I think they're really interesting, but they're absolutely tricky as anything to collect. I'm missing about 6 of them. Some of them are very scarce, some of them are a bit more common, but eventually I plan to get them all, so that's an odd one. Now we've got yet another one in the Modern Painters. This one I'm sure I've got, Paul Klee. But they are very nice, these, they really are. £1.50 in this one. But I think, yeah, as we've seen, the Modern Painters is a series which seems to be quite difficult to find in nice condition, but they don't sell for a lot. I mean, maybe £5 a book. Not a fortune by any means. This one's slightly coming away, so this is the first one today, at least. We're going to need to put some glue in. It's the first time we've used this today, but it's, or in a little while in actual fact, since I've done my last few videos, but it's coming out absolutely fine. So hopefully a little bit of glue will help that stick together. I'll pop that with the other Modern Painters there. Now we got a couple more, I see. So Yvonne Hitchens, pretty sure I haven't got this one. And I've never really tried to track down all the Modern Painters, but I can't be that many short, to be honest. Of the 20 that came out, I think it was 20. I think I must only be a few short. Maybe I should try and track them down. But that one's fine as well. And then this is the one, I think it's the final one, Brack, and it's number 20, and it's in large format. So it's like that way round instead of the portrait. The horizontal format, rather. This is portrait. So not sure why. Maybe because the artist himself, a lot of these are portrait style. So it looks as if the previous owner had been happy to pay like £1.50 a book on these. Nowadays you do see them in like shops, and as I said, they range varied quite a bit. But I think one fit about £5 to £8. I think this last one here is one of the more scarcer ones to get. But I have got it. I have got a copy of this from the last collection I bought, so it's nice to have that as a spare anyway. But yeah, so I'll pop that with the other painter. Oh, can you believe we got more? I did not realise there were so many. So Graham Sutherland. So I'm not sure if we've had any doubles at all, but you know, if we have, it just means I'll have a few to swap. (1943). When you think, when these were published, this is typical of Penguin, pushing the boat out at a time when paper was at a premium. They wouldn't skimp on quality, and I think that was solely down to Alan Lane, the creator of Penguin, really pushing for that sort of level of quality. And well, it really shows, doesn't it? I mean, it really, really does. So fantastic. Another one in the pile. And yet another one here, Matthew Smith. Of course, there was a Matthew Smith in the 80s who rose to fame because he was the author of a computer game that was very, very popular in the UK called Manic Miner. It was for the ZX Spectrum computer, if you're old enough to remember that one. And the coder, the creator of Manic Miner and the follow-up Jet Set Willy, was also called Matthew Smith. Nothing to do with the classic painter, who was indeed the subject of this particular Modern Painters book. again, I suspect the tiniest bit of moisture has maybe got into these and has caused some of these pages, because of their nature, to stick together. But nothing serious so far. (1944), that one. Yeah, very nice, for Matthew Smith. Now a different series again. Living in Cities. This is I quite like these. These are quite fun. There is a really nice one which is on London, which I'm pretty sure I saw it when I picked this collection up. Yeah, £1.50 again. There we are. That's very lovely indeed. So that's a separate series. So we want to, the Things We See became the Living in Cities. So I'm going to put a separate part. I'm going to put them over by the modern painters, because I don't think we've got any more modern painters to come. And let's have a look at this one. Here it is, in actual fact, the City of London plan. So this was a plan for rebuilding parts of London after the bombing of the Second World War. It's got to fold out. I've got a map there. I know that's supposed to be tipped in or what, but let's have a look here. Yeah, London today. It's got a little map inside, which is still present. There is in here somewhere. There is something by Edward Baldwin. But there we are, 1945. Yeah, just at the end of the Second World War. It's had a little £2 in. It's a really nice book. This really interesting to actually read. You know, the subject is fantastic. So I recommend this one. So I do have it. I think I've got all the Things We See and Living in Cities and what have you. Slide that one in there. I can't remember mine having a map like that, I've got to say. So maybe I'll have to double check that one against my own one. So that's part of that series again. Right, this is the same series. And once again, it's a bit like the last copy we saw. Look, the spine's completely gone. It does, on first appearance, there does seem a slightly better copy than that last one. But with a missing spine, you know, no one's going to really want this, because they're not that expensive books. So it's going to have to go to one side. For all I know, there's another one in here. Right, here we are. The Things We See, number 13, number 3 rather, and some furniture. Also in a wrapper, which is, you know, seen slightly better days. There we are, £1.25. Okay, I think that's about as good as we're going to get that one. Book on furniture, so that's part of that series as well. And then, well, the first time today we've actually got a Puffin picture book, and it is one that I know I've got. Lo Cheng, the boy who wouldn't keep still. Now, the thing with Puffin picture books is there's many printings of them. They really are quite varied. It's lovely, isn't it? And there are collectors who collect all the different printings. I don't know if I'm ever going to go down that route, because I'm happy just to have firsts. But sometimes they're revised, which is in effect a different book. And sometimes they came out in hardback and paperback. Most of them are paperback, but there are some hardbacks. And there's a very great guide written to the Puffin Picture Books by a chap called Joe Pearson, and he wrote the definitive sort of checklist for the series, and very good it is too. So we'll start a completely separate series now for Puffin Picture Books. There may be more of the other things that we've seen already, but I don't know for sure. So right, here's another copy of this one. This one's not, this one is, look, so there you are, look, that has got an earlier designed Puffin and that one hasn't, so that would suggest that this copy here is a reprint and this copy here is an earlier one. It just looks earlier, doesn't it? Now, one of the ways that people tell is by seeing how many other Puffin picture books are advertised in this one. So it's the same book, but if we have a look at the start here, this one advertises up to 26 Puffin picture books. That one advertised up to 40. So we've potentially got a first print and a second print here, and this being the first print. So that is how we tell. As I said, every printing has been identified, so we know what to look for as collectors. But even so, it's still a great fun series to collect, and there's some real rarities in there as well, you know. This one here, Insect Life, this one's a little bit fragile on the face of it. It's got a name along the top there, Betty Sutcliffe. That's what it looks like. It's in pencil, so we can at least lighten it carefully. Can't remember if this is one I've got or not. I think I have. Pretty sure this is one I've got. I don't think it's a rarity, but some of them most definitely are. And he is quite fragile. It's got a little 20p. This is probably picked up in a jumble sale or something like that. Once again, the telltale sign. This one actually has 85 books listed, so I suspect it's probably a reprint. But without the guidebook, I can't tell. But that's about as nice as we're going to get that, and it is pretty delicate. That, so I'm not going to get a shot of it, even though it's a bit low grade, because it may just be a real rarity, and maybe for a couple of quid, someone might want that one. Right, Waterways of the World. This one I'm sure I've got. So again, looking a little bit worn, but we have to remember the target audience for these books was youngsters, you know, in a lot of cases, you know, young adults. Some are the harder ones to find are the ones that were obviously aimed at like the under fives, just like counting books and the alphabet and things like that, spelling book. The more mature ones, I think, are around. I know my all-time favourite one is in this collection, which is The Arabs by Edward Baldwin, but it's missing its spine. But it's such a beautiful, beautiful book that I'm definitely still keeping it. I might even keep it as a spare for myself. I've got a really, really nice one, but I'd be tempted to have a second one almost as a reader. Now, this has got a name in the front here. I'm not sure how easily this is going to come off. It's all right. But cleaning up Puffin storybooks like this, picture books rather, it requires many skills. Believe it or not, this is such a very delicate inside cover. We have to be really careful not to crease it accidentally when we're doing the rubber, because the pencil on this rather is quite deep. Oh, Mary, what are you doing here? Putting your name on here. This is deadly. Okay. And then we are. I creased it. I blimmin' knew. Very, very tricky. I don't think I've done too much damage there. So it's just the M of Mary now. And a bit of the A. Very, very delicate. We're just about getting it. It's not going to be perfect. But he's not bad. There we are. I think that's as good as we could possibly have hoped. I mean, it's, as I said, not an expensive book, this one. So with a bit of luck, someone will just be happy to have that as a copy. Here is another one. It looks to be very, very similar to the one we've just tidied up, edition-wise. But I'd like to get these looking as good as we possibly can before I compare them against the copies in my own collection. And that goes for all the books, really. Yep, no markings in that one at all. And if you can believe it, and I can't quite believe it, there's a third copy of this one. Wow, this one's got 30p on the front. So evidently a more common one. I said they may not be all the same print, but these do seem very, very similar to me. They got the same logo on and same insides. Yeah, this one lists up to number 34, so potentially that's an earlier one, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll have to put my investigating head on. Right, Fish and Fishing, number 53. Never something I was that keen on was fishing. Don't really like it to eat fish. And yeah, not that much of a fan of the sport of fishing. No, not one that I've enjoyed ever, really. There we are. Okay. Postage stamps. Number 69. I've definitely got this one. First published 1950, it says on the back. Interesting hobby. Don't know how, many people are getting into collecting stamps these days. Or the study of stamps. It's quite an interesting subject. But once again, it was never one that I fully embraced. I looked at it as a kid, but I never really collected stamps like that. But interesting all the same. Interesting all the same. Right, what's this then? Animals of the Countryside. Now this says it's number 7, but almost certainly this is a much late. It is number 7 in the series, but very unlikely that this is a first printing, because it just feels so nice condition. So we'd be very, very lucky to have one of the first in this condition. Yeah, so definitely not. So it lists books up to number 39. It has got the baby Puffin, so it's still quite an early one, but it's definitely not the first print. That I can guarantee. So this is a case where I'd have to look at the guidebook and figure out which printing that was. But I don't think it's one that I've got at all, so that's quite nice to have. Birds of the Village, another one I don't think I've got in any form. So this is quite good. This could be a new one for me. Very nice. Beautiful books these, aren't they? And it lists 39 books in the front. So once again, I suspect this is probably a first print, that one. would be my guess on that. But people who collect the Puffin storybooks, they really are quite obsessive with all the different printings, and I can see why. So this one here, Butterflies in Britain, written and lithographed by Richard Chopping. Now, Richard Chopping was most famous because he was the one who designed the famous James Bond book covers. He was the artist for those. He was also a writer. He actually wrote a couple of books of fiction. But what a great artist he was. Look at these. They're just beautiful, aren't they? Absolutely amazing. Very, very accomplished was Richard Chopping. But yeah, most famous for his James Bond book jackets, for the Ian Fleming hardbacks. And there we are. And there's not a mark on that. However, there's just one little corner that was turned over. It is definitely one I've got. I'd have to check the reference book to once again see what particular edition that one was. But yeah, very, very nice. And then our next one is another favourite of mine, History of the Countryside. Right, a History of the Countryside. Very, very nice book, this. Yeah, still got that £1 in, and also lists the first 39 again. So I'm hoping that it's a first, but I don't know for sure. But that's a pretty nice copy of that one. Furniture, Story of Furniture. This one's a little bit rougher by the feel of it. 30p on the back. A little turned over page there. Yeah, not in tip-top shape, but not rubbish by any means. But yeah, I think he's going to be quite cheap and cheerful. Pottery and Its Making, number 71. There's only just over 100 Puffin Picture Books. I think there's 100 and... Testing me now, I think there's 119. There was one that got published by the Penguin Collectors Society called Life Histories. It was by Paxton Chadwick. It was one that was planned but never produced, and the Penguin Collectors Society brought that one into print, which is lovely, in a limited run. It's very nice, this, indeed. Yeah, that's lovely. So again, not perfect by any means, but quite nice. It's lovely. On the Farm, James Gardner. Another great title. Yeah, it lists the first 30, but this was Puffin Storybook number 4, so the original printing of this is expensive. But this one, number 30, isn't the first, but it is an early-ish one. So it does obviously still have a value, and there may be revisions and things like that, so it might be one that I end up keeping. I think I have got this one as a first print, but it's quite ropey. So, you know, might be happy to have a better copy of it. Dogs. Dalmatian there. I don't know what's happening here. This looks quite the worse for wear. What is happening here? Oh, it's actually been misprinted. So it would have been like that, and it's not been cut properly. It is in particularly low grade, this one, and because of the misprint and the grubbiness, I end up a piece missing out the back cover. That one, sadly, is too far gone to keep. No one's going to want that one, and I've definitely got it. This one's nice. It's a hardback. It's a board one. I think this is one I've got in board and paperback, in actual fact. But I haven't got many in hardback, just a handful. This is the first 80 books, but nice to have. It's just a variation. I guess that they were made in this more permanent form for school libraries or even public libraries. It's got a name here, J.W. Ward by the look of it, whoever they were. Very nice to have these in a hardback form. These will obviously, they're all going to need brushing later on. This is nice, English fashions. There really is quite an array of subjects were covered, weren't they, by this series, and I think they are gorgeous. I've never done a dedicated video on my main channel on Puffin Picture Books. However, I'm thinking of doing it and also going through my collection, such as it is, and also picking out, while I do it, my top 5 Puffin Picture Books and why I love them so much. But that's actually a really nice, robust copy of that one, so that's good news. This is another fairly early one, I think. Yeah, Puffin Picture Book number 11. And I don't think I have this one. I think this might be a new one for me. But it does look quite early. It's also quite delicate here. The covers are turned over. Put them back into one piece. Yeah, number 28 is the earliest book listed, so chances are I suspect this is a reprint. And sadly, there is some scribbling at the back. So this is, you have to expect this sort of thing with books that were designed for youngsters. Occasionally you're going to get that. But it is, I think, scarce. So even with that little bit of scribbling in, I think it's probably worth persevering and saving that one. This one's really nice. Marvelous Models. I don't think I've got this one. In fact, I don't think I've ever even looked through it properly. I'm sure of it. A little bit of turned over back cover there. But yeah, I hope you're enjoying this bit of a change from regular Penguin books. Normal service will, of course, be resumed next week, but I'll try not to have a Penguin video every single week, a Penguin paperback video. I will try as best I can, as books allow, to mix it up a little bit. So we keep it interesting as I can. Obviously, I bought so many Penguins recently, or, acquired, shall we say, 2 big collections. My priority is to get those cleaned, but I'll try and mix in what I can of other stuff. I do think of my audience and don't want them bored. There we are. Well, that's as good as that one's going to get. It says it's number 30, lists up to books number 39, so I suspect and hope that is a first print. And before we take a little break, it's Airliners, which I definitely haven't got. And that's a beautiful cover. Number 86. It's a later one, 1 and 6. I suspect this may be a reprint, but it may be a reprint with a difference, because actually no, it probably is the first print. This is the sort of book that would get updated over time. I haven't got this one, so I'm pleased to see it. I don't know if it's a scarce one or not. Nice book there. Yeah, there's nothing at all to do on that one. And then I'm going to take a little break now and finish my coffee. But the very next one is one of my favourites, The Arabs. So here's my all-time favourite Puffin picture book, and it's The Arabs, written by R.B. Sargent, illustrated by Edward Baldwin, and it's just magnificent. It is a shame that this one is quite a low-grade copy. I have actually got an absolutely perfect one, but I would have liked another one for a reader. So I'm going to see if this one can be at all saved. because I'd hate to, well, I don't care what, as long as it's complete, I'm going to save this one. And in actual fact, I think he's all right. It's just, it's missing its spine. Honestly, the artwork, I just really love it. As I said, it's Baldwin at his best, and there's a lot in here. But there's a fantastic double-page spread of Baldwin's artwork, which we'll see in a moment. And it's just superb. It's that one there with all the elephants. Look at that. I just love it. It's brilliant. Such a great style. But this one looks an absolutely perfect copy. You know, it's complete. It's all there from what I can see. It's just the covers are virtually detached, because I saw at the start it had a little school library stamp in. It only ever, as far as I know, got published in hardback. Not sure if it was ever reprinted. So what do we do? Because really it's just this spine here that's come away. I mean, theoretically we could put a false spine on to keep it all in place, but I think we're going to just have to leave it like that. I don't think there's much else we can do. This is where it's come away. And if we were to put some glue there, even if we were to glue it, I just don't think it would make that much difference. Basically, what we need to do, if we're going to try and do a repair job on this, is that bit there of the gauze needs to go under there. Yeah, it's just it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one. I don't think I can do it, to be honest. Sort of needs to go right under the cover like that. And we're never, ever going to get that really tight. It's just not going to be possible. So even as a make do, even if we were to sort of fold it in like that, it's not going to look very good. But I don't think there's anything else we can do. It's a really tricky one, that. I don't want to cut it away either. Theoretically, that would be how we'd have to do it. Get it like that and glue that in. But even then, I don't think it's going to stay that well. The only way we're really going to get that kept in place would be to tape it up. So maybe that's the option. I said I really only want this as a reader, really, rather than, because I've got an absolutely mint and perfect one, and I'd rather not read that because these books are delicate. To have this one as a spare would be, really good. I'd just like it to be slightly better. Well, I think what I've done there may actually do it. Let's try it. What the hell? We've got nothing to lose. It may end up being a little bit messy, but it is what it is, ultimately. This is, after all, bookbinder's glue. It is designed for this sort of a job. So it may end up being slightly better than we think, That actually isn't too bad. Squeezing it all in there and let that, when that glue dries out over the next day, that may not be too bad. So I think we may have actually done all right there, just as a bit of an experiment. Right, the next one is one of those ones which was designed for the real youngsters, of course. Mary Had a Little Lamb. Number 91. I don't think I've got this one either. This is another one which is new to me. First published 1951. I said I've never actually actively tried to collect these, but there was a few that I always wanted to get. Like the Battle of Britain was one I wanted to get very early on. That's a real favourite of mine. The Arabs, but mainly the ones that I've got have all just come my way, you know. That's actually a really nice copy, all things considered, you know, considering it's a Puffin picture book. Now, these next few are actually a little bit more recent. This is a picture Puffin. So these came after the Puffin picture books. These are like late 60s, early 70s, I believe. The ones I picked up, I think, are all 70s, but I had the option of getting quite a few of these last year, and I turned them down, and I do regret that now, because there's some really good stuff in here. So nowadays I pick them all up. This is actually 1980, so it's actually quite late, but it's okay. That is probably past my period, but I haven't got any at all, so I sort of want a few. This one's Roald Dahl, and it's Revolting Rhymes, illustrated by Quentin Blake. And I believe when I checked this one, I think this is the first time this one was printed, which is really great. It may have had a hardback, mind you, but I'm pretty sure when I checked, this was the first. It's on the back here. Published in Puffin Books, 1984. And yeah, published in Jonathan Cape, 1982. So this did definitely have a hardback release by Cape first before it had this. But that's okay. And then we got one more in the Picture Puffins, which is another great one by another great illustrator, Edward Ardizoni, who did a lot for Puffin. And let's check this one out as well. This is another good one. First published in Picture Puffins in 1981. This original book was published in 1949. So it's just a more modern Picture Puffin edition of it. But all three of those I think I'll keep, because I just don't have many. But they will also, all three will need to be polished, because they've got nice glossy covers, and those will come up quite nicely. So put them to one side. Then the next thing we got is Plant Life. This is another Puffin storybook, but someone's put a paper cover on it to protect it. So let's see how good a job they've done. Well, the book was, by the look of it, the book was pretty poor quality to begin with, wasn't it? Look at that. So they've put the book on actually not to protect it, but to give it just a little bit more lease of life, because it was such a worn copy to begin with. And yeah, it got a few pages turned over and what have you. So not A1, I'm afraid to say. Yeah. Yes, very much a lower grade copy, that one. Right. A Book of Armour, number 97. I think I have this one. Awful for these like little corners turning over and what have you. But I guess these were amongst some of the best children's books you could get. This one's got a few, someone's thrown darts at it, I'm afraid to say. It's been used as a dartboard, and that, in my book, is like an absolute no-no. Even though this is one I don't think I've got, no one's going to want that, because it's so... Oh, and that, I think, has been amateurly coloured in. That's not done in the book. So that one, I'm afraid to say, too far gone. Right, The Story of Tea. Ooh, I'd love a cup of tea, but in actual fact, I've got a cup of coffee with me at the moment. Tea's all well and good. There's a time and a place. But this is apparently a really good factual book on the history of tea, from what I hear. You know, just for its contents, apparently it was supposedly very, very good. There's a little 5p in the corner there, so we'll get that now. There we are, that's okay. Number 72. Right, next we've got Famous Ships. Don't recognise this one. Famous ships, eh? A little bit of liquid there. I think it's had a touch of that, but apart from that, it's a reasonably robust example of a reasonably scarce puffin. Right, the human body. A little bit of scribbling there. Number 102. This is quite a late one. A few like spider webs across the top here. We will give all these a brush in a minute once we've finished going through them. We've got about 10 left to go in the pile. I don't know if they're all picture puffins or puffin pictures rather, or if there's any of the other series that we've already looked at. There we are. The human body it is. Right, oh look, trees again. So we've seen this once. This is a much better copy than the one from earlier. But of course, it may just be a reprint. But I don't know for sure without checking. But this one seems quite fresh. This is a real nice example of this one, whatever printing it is. It only lists number 34, so I suggest this is probably a first print of this, but in excellent condition. So that's good news. Yeah, that's really nice, that. Oh, Butterflies in Britain. It's the Richard Chopping one, but it's in hardback, which is very nice to see, indeed. Something on the back here. I'm hoping it's in pencil, because I know I haven't got this in hardback, and that would be a really good one to have. There we are. There we are. That's lovely. Oh, yeah, this could be quite a nice addition to my collection. This is amongst. It's a nice condition book, and it's one I definitely haven't got. And I think this is probably the best one that I've found today from this little run. So that's really nice. That. Right, what's this next one here? The Theatre at Work. Right, that's another nice one. Once again, in pretty nice condition. This. After we've had a run of sort of lower grade ones, these are the better ones now. It's got a pound on it. There we are. That's a really nice example of that one. So I'm pleased with that. Right, what's this? The clothes we wear. This is another one. Maybe this little run here were all from the same place, but they are in better than average condition. This one had a little 30p on the front, which the other ones didn't. But there are lots of foreign editions of these books as well in foreign language, and people do collect those. I haven't got any in a foreign language that I know of. Look, Virginia Walter Junior School. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've got any at all. So interestingly, that hasn't got like a list of other picture puffins, or puffins picture books. So I'll need the old identification guide on that, but it looks pretty nice. Right, next we've got Wildflowers, Paxton Chadwick. Another one with a 30p on the top. so we'll assume it's from the same source. Beautiful illustrations. Paxton Chadwick was famous for them. Very, very nice. Beautiful. Lists up to number 61. So that's nice. And I'm pretty sure I don't have this. Or have I? The Story of China. I don't recognise the back cover. I sort of recognise the front cover, but I don't know. This one looks pretty delicate. It lists books up to number 39, but the cover is almost falling off on this one, so it's very, very low grade. So potentially, if there's nothing much else wrong with it, it'll be here as a filler for somebody possibly. I see the very next one is the same book, so there is another copy of this one. That one is pretty on the borderline, isn't it? In fact, has that been... Yeah, look, that's a junior's coloured that in. I'm afraid that means that one's too far gone. When it's had so much, when it's in such poor condition, and it's had that sort of graffiti in, then I'm afraid to say it's had its day. But look at this. It's the same book, but it's in hardback. And once again, I am certain I've not got this in hardback. So let's see what condition this one is. Let's hope it's better than the last one. First of all, it's got 2 and 6 inside. That may well have been the original price, if you can believe it. Very easily. Okay. Right. Yeah. Lists up books up to number 58. This is much better, isn't it? This is a beautiful copy. So that is an absolute beauty. So very, very pleased with that one indeed. A handful more left. So what's this? About Railways. Number 113. This is a very late one. A sticker removal mark up the top there. This looks nice. It's always a good subject, but it's also a subject that was often updated, so this could well be a later printing very, very easily. Yeah, it lists up to number 112, published in 1957. Very, very nice. Not one, once again, that I think I've got. This one I do have, Village and Town by Badmin. This one also looks really nice condition indeed. Yeah, it's just got a little £1 up there. So we've seen, it looks to me, we had a few which had this £1 in. We had a few which had like 30p in. And there was a few which didn't have anything at all. The Story of a Thread of Cotton. I'm sure I haven't got this one. I would have remembered if I had this one, I think. Yeah, okay. And we've got just a couple more left. We've got The Story of Plant Life. This one's got a 30p on the front cover. Well, I've got to admit, these didn't take as long to go through as I was expecting, which is good, you know, and I'm pleased that I've done them. Because it's something a bit, as I said, something a little bit different to just regular penguins or penguin crime. Now that's got an HL26. Is that pencil? I think that's been written in a pen. That's been done in like an ink fountain pen. HL26, I don't know what that means. Oh, there are a couple of little ticks where the previous owners evidently they've ticked off the ones that they've got. Just a handful. There we are. I think when I get close, I don't know how many of the run I've got of these. I really do not know. But when I get quite close, I might try and track down a few of the missing ones, because there are some key books I'd like to get that were published as Puffin Picture Books. And I haven't really pursued them. But now that I don't need so much main series wise, I can start to look at some of these other, like, more minor series for me. I enjoyed reading some of the ones that I've got to my kids when they were growing up. But at the time I worked in the book trade, and we had all the contemporary stuff, and they were much more into that than these sort of old-fashioned Puffin Picture Books, sadly. But there we are. So that is all of those. So the next stage then, we're going to give the books a brush down, and also some of them we're going to give a polish to. All right, start the old brushing polish stage. And these ones there, those picture puffins, they're going to go with that small pile which need to be polished with some actual polish. Now these ones here, we need to sort of tread carefully. They're not going to have loads of dust on them because of their very nature, but if I sort of do them by size, like these ones there, that should make it a little bit easier. Actually, I can't see loads of dust coming off these, in all honesty, but a bit off some of them as we've been cleaning. There has been a little bit. So that's the Things We See series and Living in Cities, so they can go over there. And then this is our pile of modern painters. So this one here is completely different format, so we just do that first. And then if I pull about half of these, there we are. Yes, you see a bit coming off there. And we'll do the same with these. So not masses of dust, but some dust, let's put it that way. So that's the modern painters done. So that just leaves the Puffin storybooks now to give a brush to. So do the bottom rows first, and the edges, and then the worst bit is always the tops. There we are. Okay. 2 more wedges of these, I think. There we are. Right. Okay. That's the little bit of brushing that we had to do. Then the very last bit is we're going to do some polishing. Just this small pile here of books, but it's been a while since we've even had the opportunity to do any polishing, because the books we've been cleaning up have been so old, we can't polish them because it would wreck the books. So you can only do it with books which are much more modern, like these are late 70s, weren't they, early 80s, but they've got glossy laminated jackets, so we're able to do it without the risk of harming the actual books. But something like that has come up much brighter. Look at the dirt we've got off it. That was dead clean just now, and it's come up really bright. And that's why we do it on a select few books, just a select few, to get them looking as nice as possible. There we are, so that's that one. I suppose I better do the back as well. That back wasn't anything like as bad. Okay. A little bit more marked up on the back cover. A little splash of something, which actually isn't coming off, which is a surprise. I would have expected that to have just lifted off. But it's not. It's a really, really stubborn stain. We've faded it a little bit, but it is still there. It is better than what it was. Oh, it is coming. It is coming. Just took a really, really lot of work there. There we are. We've just about got that sorted now. Okay. Now the Mother Goose one, which, I'm only keeping it because it came with the other two, really, but this one is actually quite low grade. Probably had a lot of action as a book, probably was used. These books are beautiful. They were very much at the targeted audience, and they were bestsellers, I think. I wouldn't be surprised if all three of these you could still walk into a bookshop and find today, almost certainly. But yeah, they've picked up an awful lot of dirt, but thankfully it is dirt that we can the dirt we got off these, just a handful, 3 books. Absolutely amazing. And the next one is particularly bad, so I'll leave that to the end, in actual fact, because we've got 3 more to do yet. But I hope you have enjoyed this particular video. Oh, we got 4 to do, actually. It's Richard Adams here, but that was pretty nice. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this one. It's been nice to do something a little bit different, because although we've got a lot still to go in that Penguin Crime and main series Penguin collection, it's going to take a long time to get through. Potentially I've got videos backed up, or I will have, for another year of books on the channel. So what I'll try and do, rather than have it all every single week, Penguin, I'm going to try and mix it up, and it'll be Penguin main series or crime, and then something else, either a completely different Penguin series, like I've got to one side, I've got King Penguins to one side, I've got Albatross books, I've got Touch Niche books, so I'm going to try and mix it up with some of that, Penguin handbooks. So every other video is like a main series one. I think that's probably the way. And I do have some more interesting stuff to come, which I haven't picked up yet. So Pelican books, I've got Puffin storybooks to come as well. So quite a bit of different stuff on the horizon. I just need to go and collect it. Anyway, that's as good as we can get that one. It has got that little mark still, but I've never seen that before, and it's in such nice condition generally. I'm gonna keep that one for myself. Right, the Penguin Atlas. This is a late 60s one. It's 10 and 6. It's a miscellaneous, but it was one of those ones which did get printed with a glossy cover, which is very, very susceptible for picking up dirt and stuff like that. But we can soon sort that out. Without any trouble at all. Spine as well. And spines can pick up, these sorts of spines can pick up nicotine, and it can go into the grooves and that. Smoke damage. And then back cover, let's give that a squirt. And this was the better of the two examples. I'm sure I've got this one, but at the same time, since it's going to be a double, I want it looking as nice as possible. There we are. That does. That's really jived that one up, so that looks good. We've got the Barrel Cook book, which didn't need a lot. Once again, this is just to keep for myself. It's a bit of a later Penguin book for me, but it's solely to go with my other art books, and it's one that I knew existed, but I didn't have a copy of. So very pleased to get this. So that's good. Barrel Cook. And the last one, we got yet another copy of this, but it is appalling. Very, very dirty cover indeed. So hopefully we can make a few inroads into it. It's lower grade than the last one we did, so it's never going to come up perfect, but it'll be as good as we can get it. Don't look at it. Let's try and find a bit more of a virgin bit of cloth here. Unsullied by today's cleaning extravaganza. So it's proper elbow work going into today's video, you know, guys. I hope you appreciate it. Right. Last bit. Really, really dirty back cover as well. But certainly salvageable. Inside it's absolutely fine, else I wouldn't be bothering with this, you know. Well, there we are. That, I think, is as good as we're ever going to be able to get that one. And it is what it is. Anyway, thanks for watching today. Once again, I do hope you've enjoyed something slightly different today. And do please, of course, hit the subscribe button. Do please give the video a like if you've not already. If you have enjoyed today's content, I'll be back again in 7 days with another video. Bye.